Oh, all right, we found a good one. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the piercing subreddit and we're going to be looking at a question that I found with the most hilarious answers of all time. It is so good. And the question is, what's the worst piercing aftercare advice you've ever got? Before we get into the video, I would like to give a quick shout out and thank you to our sponsor, Skillshare. If you have a specific skill that you're trying to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From photography and illustration to graphic design, freelancing, and more, you can find classes that will match your goals and interests. I have been on Skillshare for a little while now, and I can say I've learned so many new creative skills and just like got in touch with like a creative side that I didn't really nurture before. And that leads me to the class that I am currently doing, Daily Art Practice for Self-Care, 14 Days of Messages to Yourself by Jessica Swift. This class has been super helpful to me because it's allowed me to use art in the form of self-care. I have rediscovered that way to tune into art as a form of relaxation and enjoyment. It's great because in the class you learn a lot about how important it is to do like a daily exercise to let go, to release energy. It also helps with your discipline of doing something every single day. It's a really artistic way of looking after yourself and looking after your mental health and just understanding how important these things are. Skillshare is giving the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link below, or you can use my code, thelegitcreep, a 1-month free trial to Skillshare. Thank you so much, Skillshare. Now let's get into the video. What's the worst piercing aftercare advice you ever got? Dial hand soap on my fresh navel piercing 5 times a day. Don't know what dial hand soap is. I assume it's just a hand soap, but yeah, let's not clean our piercings with hand soap, and let's not clean our piercings 5 times a day either. That's just overdoing it, and your piercing's going to get tuckered out, it's gonna hate it, and it's just going to prolong the healing, really. It still has to have its time to breathe and heal on its own without constantly being cleaned and touched and just like annoyed. Even though it may seem like you're like keeping it clean, it's going to get annoyed by that. Another person got my septum done. I was told to put dial hand soap up my nose for my septum piercing. It's a miracle it was placed correctly in retrospect, but I didn't listen to their aftercare instructions. I can't talk today. Just use saline spray and I still have it 6 years later. So good. I'm glad that you maybe did your research beforehand and were like, hey, wait a minute. From everything I've researched prior, you're telling me the absolute wrong thing. Generally, if you're hearing the same thing over and over again, and then you go to a piercer and they're doing something so completely different, not always, but potentially they could be the ones who are doing it wrong. So yeah, just be wary of that. And like, it is always good to do your own research rather than just like believing us straight up. I mean, you really should listen to us, but do your research beforehand. And then if you have any questions, it's always good to ask the piercer on the day, and you can pull them up on anything that you're like, wait a minute, cleaning my piercing with soap doesn't sound right, because everyone ever always says to use sterile saline solution. So why are we using soap now? And I'd love to hear their answer. The lady that did my septum that had a certificate on her wall told me to clean it with an aftershave. She also pierced it very, very low. Safe to say my body started rejecting that piercing, and I went in to get a refund. People still do recommend her for some reason though. I mean, like, having a certificate, to be honest, doesn't really mean shit. For at least some states in Australia, we have a certificate, but it's not a piercing certificate. It's a certificate of infection control for skin penetration. So things like tattooing and piercing. And that's not even for every state in Australia either, but that's kind of the only certificate that you actually have to hold in some states. Like, not even all states need that. So I can't say for everywhere in the world whether you even need a certificate, but you don't actually need a certificate in Australia. That certificate only really makes sure that you know about things like infection control, bloodborne pathogens, sterilization, and like hand washing, also needle prick injuries, like a bunch of other stuff. That just sort of like prepares you for like how to keep safe prior to starting piercing. That actually doesn't mean you know how to pierce. Like, I know plenty of people with those who doesn't mean they know how to pierce, or it doesn't make you good. Like, you don't get a, oh, you are the best piercer in the world award. Like, that's not a thing. I mean, pay attention to those certificates. Like, they are important to see that someone understands how to keep you safe and free of like diseases and infections. Yeah, it is very important, but that doesn't mean everything. First piercer I went to when I was 11 or so was a doctor's office, and they told me to clean with disinfecting alcohol wipes and rotate the jewelry regularly. I suck at saying regularly. I can't fucking say it. Second piercer I went to told me to use dial hand soap twice a day. Is this the same piercer, or is this a common thing in wherever this person is from? I luckily healed okay after both piercers, but only really because I got lazy with aftercare and basically defaulted to lither and letting water run over it in the shower before I even knew that was the ideal method anyway. I mean, like, cleaning your piercing just with like hot water in the shower isn't the ideal method. Oh, lither, someone's written it below. I am so dumb. Lither, leave it the hell alone. I mean, yeah, sure, piercings have healed that way, but it is not healthy and is not ideal. And do not, whatever you do, clean your piercing with alcohol wipes. I have had people buying jewelry ask for extra, like a bunch. Give me a handful of alcohol wipes so that I can clean my piercings. And they're talking about their piercings, not their jewelry. I just got this new piercing recently. I'm just gonna clean it with alcohol wipes. And I'm like, don't do that. I'm not going to give you any. Like, I've got some proper aftercare here, just some straight up sterile saline solution, which yes, you can purchase. But if you want a handful of alcohol wipes and you're going to go against what I would say, like my advice, then you can go and fucking buy them yourself. Why am I going to hand you these things to fuck up your piercing? Especially after you've told me what they're going to be used for. My nan told me to use my own saliva to loosen up crusties. Nan, what are you doing, Nan? Why would you listen to Nan? Nan has had her ears pierced, just her lobes, at the doctor's office for sure. Like, that's what they used to do back in Nan's day. Nan is the type of person to like lick the finger and then touch the page to like pick it up. Sorry, but like my finger has never suffered from slipperiness to the point that I can't move a page, that I'd have to lick it. Like, Nan's the one who would like lick the finger and like wipe something off your face as well. Nan, you're nasty. You're nasty. We don't need this. Twist your piercings daily. Taking your jewelry out to clean it while your piercing is still healing, followed by I can't get it back in, and or my piercing is really irritated and or bleeding when I put it back in. Yeah, I've definitely heard this one before. I mean, it still seems like a common thing that piercers are doing, is like telling people that they should twist like and move. Big no. Like, you're ripping that shit open, it's trying to heal, and you're like ripping, tearing it open over and over again. It's trying to form those crusties to heal over. It needs to heal over to create the tunnel inside, rather than ripping it open and you're just keeping this like open wound constantly. And that's why a lot of the time, other than the fact that a lot of them were done with guns, is that gun piercings will never heal, is because also their aftercare, not only is it set up to fail with the gun, with the blunt force trauma, it is also set up to fail because the person getting the piercings has generally been told that they need to twist them every single day, twice daily. No, don't fucking do that. Don't listen to these people. And the one about taking the jewelry out, like, I didn't even get shocked at first because I thought they just meant like taking your jewelry out to clean it, which yeah, like that's normal, but not while it's healing. I've definitely had people come to the studio where they're like, oh, so like I was cleaning my piercing and now I can't get it back in. And I was like, what do you mean get back in? Like, did it fall out? Like, what happened? Did like the ball come loose? What's going on? And they're like, oh no, like I took the jewelry out so that I could clean it. And I was like, those were never the rules. That was absolutely not discussed. And if you followed and listened to what I'd said, you wouldn't have taken the jewelry out. And every single studio should give you a pamphlet or some sort of information that explains exactly how to clean your piercing. And the annoying thing is, you've even said to them, don't change the jewelry for 2 to 3 months or longer, depending on what piercing it is that they got, and people will still do it. It's very frustrating. Honestly, these people cannot be helped. Like, just don't get piercings if that's what you are planning on doing. Like, what? Oh, this one's great. Got my first lobes pierced at Claire's with a gun in 2010. My mum was on me about twisting them every day to make sure they healed properly. Flash forward to 2020 when I got my newest cartilage piercing done, and my mum asked if I was twisting it enough when I went to visit. I told her that wasn't something you're supposed to do, and she was absolutely shocked. Oh, it's very cute. It's very, very cute. Although I feel like my family were the same, but I think I just got too many piercings too quickly that like they just trusted that I was dealing with them and didn't even have a say in them, so I didn't really get any advice. Undiluted tea tree. Don't worry, I did it so often when I was younger. I don't even know where I heard the information. I genuinely don't even know if it was a piercer who told me to do this. Potentially it was. I never looked anything up. I would always just go with what I heard. Could have been a friend, whatever it was. I was doing the tea tree oil thing and I was just like, it was drying my piercings out so much. And I just couldn't work out why, because I was like, okay, it's drying them out, but they were so painful and so raw. And I was like, oh, but it must be good. Like, this must be a good thing. It must have to dry out to like get better. No, not right. It is just drying the shit out of your piercing and the skin. Like, it's irritating the piercing. It's irritating the skin. Everything's annoyed. The area around it is annoyed, so like there's no helping it there. My friend had a very irritated conch from daily mask use. She told me her piercer's advice wasn't working, so she swapped out the saline spray with perfume and apparently it healed instantly. I honestly don't believe this. I currently have a fresh conch that's going through a similar amount of irritation, but I had to politely decline her offer of lending me her bottle of perfume. Was it Chanel No. 5? Like, what was the process behind this? How do you decide to use perfume? That's exactly what I was thinking. Not sure, but I think she thought the alcohol would sterilize the area and that it would make it heal. I love her, but she has some crazy ideas. Just no. Imagine spraying perfume in an open wound. Like, you're not gonna do that. Having fragrance on things that are already inflamed is a big no. Not to mention, like, even though there's alcohol in perfume, you don't just put straight up alcohol on your piercings either. There's also whatever other chemicals in perfume too. Why you say it? It's hilarious. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. It's wild. I can't believe some of the things that I am seeing, I'm hearing. This was really fun. Let me know if you enjoyed it because I would love to do another Reddit piercing video. I honestly haven't sussed it out enough and I think I need to suss it a little more.